Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we will be looking at different ways to enhance your writing and how students can improve their essay writing skills by looking at some examples from other students. We'll be reviewing a very interesting essay done by a lovely student named Kayla, and we'll also point out specific examples that you can try in your own writing. Let's pause for a moment while I pull up my essays and let's begin. Today, we will be looking at one of the Commonwealth Essay Competition's top entries, one of the winners, Kayla, who has written a lovely letter from the New World. That is the title of her essay. It is an essay that focuses around the COVID-19 virus and the pandemic and how humanity united to overcome the different challenges that COVID-19 presented. What I would like all students watching this video to do is pause the video, take a minute, read through the entire essay, and then come back so that we can discuss specific elements. In this video, we will be looking at things like structure. We'll be looking at the opening hook of the essay, some specific examples, how the writer uses contrast, how the theme is presented as well, and also maybe some sensory detail and some other important facts for students to focus on while they write. Okay, if you have paused and read through the entire essay, what we'll do is we will pull up some examples and take a look at them right now. Okay, let's begin by looking at the hook or opening line of the essay. It starts off with a very strong and surprising statement. It was a beautiful day to die. So surprising, so sudden, so interesting that it immediately grabs the reader's attention. This is a fantastic way for students to begin their essays. Now, you might be wondering, why is this such a unique way, an interesting way to begin your essay? This single short sentence sets the entire mood for the reader and makes them want to keep reading. It draws them in with something dramatic, something unexpected, and it is a very powerful hook that catches your reader's attention. If you're confused about how to start your essay, using a technique like this can be very useful. A single short sentence really sets the mood, and it can keep your reader wanting to listen more. So try that when you guys are writing. Okay, let's pause and let's go to point number 2. Okay, let's come to my second point that I'd really like to highlight. The narrator of this entire story. In this essay, Kayla has chosen a very unique narrator for the events. She has chosen, as I mentioned before, COVID-19. COVID-19. Now, you might be a little bit surprised to see something like a virus narrating the events of a story. It starts off like this. It says, "And who am I, you ask? Who I am is no secret to any man. They call me by many names, the humans. But you will identify me best if I introduce myself as COVID-19. This unusual point of view, though it is a bit surprising and shocking, it gives the student a little bit of an advantage because an unexpected narrator makes their writing a little bit more unique. And it also helps the author showcase their ideas from a very unique angle. Most of us have already experienced COVID-19 before, but looking at COVID-19 through the lens of the virus itself is a completely different perspective that most people wouldn't be expecting. That brings a very interesting element to the story. It makes the writing unique and surprising and interesting. So when you're highlighting a narrator in your own writing, think about the perspective that you want to share. That is something that can really highlight and enhance the way your message comes across. Okay, now that we've covered the hook of this essay, along with who is narrating everything, let's focus on how Kayla uses sensory details to really bring her writing to life. For most students, you might remember that sensory details help us show what's going on in a story through the 5 senses. It also uses very specific language, maybe some strong vocabulary, and it helps your reader imagine what is going on. It helps them picture the entire scene. Kayla uses a bunch of interesting sensory detail, and I'd like to point out maybe just some from the introduction itself. So the student begins with a field of forget-me-nots that blossomed before my aching feet, mocking my suffering. Their rich hues matched the periwinkle sky that clothed the heavens above. A quiet place filled the lands. This line itself is a great showcase of how sensory detail can really bring your writing to life. Vocabulary like periwinkle, sky, helps us visualize the color. If you guys don't know what periwinkle looks like, maybe you can Google it as well. Again, strong vocabulary, sensory details, and showing sentences are a great way for students to bring their writing to life, make the reader visualize what is going on. Okay, now before we come to one of my main discussion points for today, which is the theme of this essay, or maybe even the message that the student is trying to convey, we have to look at a few more specific things that this student does really well, because all of them compound and complement the overall theme of the story. We'll first begin by looking at contrast and how this student uses transformation to really showcase the central idea of the story, which is, or even you could say, the central change in the story. And it even highlights a very specific message. I'd like you guys to look at this line right here where it says, I was once powerful. I was once feared. Now I am nothing. Nothing because mankind decided to fight back. And when they united, they are much greater than I. When united, they are much greater than I. There we go. Look at how this author is using contrast to how COVID-19 was perceived and how it is perceived now, whereas the entire world has overcome the challenge of COVID-19. United, that is one of the main messages of the story. And when we are united, we are much greater than any challenges we might face. And this entire message is sprinkled throughout, not just through contrast by focusing on how COVID-19 was before. There are other techniques that this author and this writer uses as well. Let's quickly go over that. But keep in mind, contrast is a very powerful tool that you can use before and after. It can help the reader understand the message that you want to share. So it's something you can experiment with when you're writing. Okay, speaking of unity and the overall message of the story, you might recognize a little bit of repetition that Kayla uses throughout her essay as well. She focuses most of the attention on words like together, or even phrases. You might notice specific phrases like, or they came together. The word together is repeated quite a lot throughout this essay. While you're reading, or while you might go through some of the notes that I'm sharing right now, look for the word together and make sure you read them. Notice how it builds on the essay's theme. Repetition is a very good craft tool that students can use. When a word or idea appears repeatedly, it signals what is important. And in this essay, the theme of togetherness or unity is really highlighted throughout every single passage. Okay. Okay, as we continue to read, what I would like us to look at is some of the global examples, how this essay flows from the beginning, from the explanation, the introduction, the hook, with some specific examples and sensory detail, how it focuses the entire attention to a journey as we journey across the entire world to witness how humanity has come together. We start off in a place like the Pacific, where we get to see, we're walking through the coconut plantations of vibrant cities of Guam and tranquil white palm beaches of French Polynesia. We go next to Africa, Mama Africa, as stated right here, and how it was kind of bled dry, her jewels robbed for hundreds of years, and now she's healing. How the tribes have finally no longer divided, they've come together, they are one community, one people. Next, we go on into the next area, to Asia, where we've got the cities full of life and laughter. We've got even the war-torn regions, where we had been torn apart, like Syria and Afghanistan. The world now demanded peace, and peace it received. How everyone has come together is presented with such clear and vivid imagery. The author uses very specific places, specific images to show worldwide cooperation. And she points out unique elements that really highlight very specific examples. That's something that you guys can try as well. Again, imagery, sensory details, specific examples, showing sentences. All of these concrete examples come together, places, actions. It makes the big ideas believable and more vivid. And again, this connects back to the main theme of the entire essay. I'm sure you guys might have picked up on it right now. We have got these two lines right here. And when they are united, they are much greater than I. That is one of the sentences that highlights the theme. And the second one is, for the first time in a long time, mankind understood that you did not have to be the same to have a common goal. Again, once again, coming back to the overall theme of the story, which is when we are united. The theme very clearly, I'll put a few words on the screen to showcase what she's trying to highlight for us, the themes of the story. Unity, that is one of the most important ones. Then we have got the theme of forgiveness, where humanity, despite our differences, despite all the challenges, we are cooperating. Cooperation, that is again to defeat the greater problems. This theme and these statements really sell the main idea, and again, using lines like this can be so useful for many students. A few other elements that I think that Kayla does really well throughout the entire essay. You might notice the use of short, powerful sentences that bring everything together. That is, again, another technique that you can use when you're writing. Now, the essay, it ends on, again, the same sentence. If you come down to the final sentence right here, it says the same line once more. It was a beautiful day to die. Once again, linking everything back, not only to the main idea, but to the hook as well, back to the beginning. The essay begins and ends with the same short sentence. Repeating a line like this at the end creates almost like a full circle, effect, a full circle structure. And it makes the ending feel very strong, very memorable. So once again, just to recap what this essay does really well, it uses a very surprising narrator, it has very vivid imagery, a lot of global examples, very clear structure. I did not touch on structure too much, but again, the entire essay, the paragraphing, it flows really well. It comes back full circle, back to the beginning. And the message is so important as well, about how people, when working together, can actually change the world. While you finish up watching this video, I'd like you guys to think about one specific image or one specific line that you might remember. And maybe think about how you guys can use a hook, how you guys can use sensory details, what you can do with contrast, how can you highlight the theme of your essay. Maybe you might want to focus on the different types of sentences that you use, whether it is a mix of simple, compound, complex sentences. You might have noticed throughout this essay that there are a mix of very long and short sentences as well. It allows people to pause, make sure that you're reading everything. All right, guys, that sort of brings us to the end of today's video. I know that this was a lot of information to absorb in one go, a very long, very detailed video, but I believe in all of you guys. I know it will be a little bit of a challenge to write a powerful essay such as this one, but I'm sure and I believe that all of you guys, if you guys put in the right kind of effort, I think you guys can do it as well. So try your best and best of luck with the FunFox essay writing competition. Bye-bye.